Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajwa and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. I know it's a little early to give an update on Qahwa because it's quite new in the market and I've had it for about 5 days, so I will not say it's been or it has macerated enough for me to really give a really thorough update. However, I just wanted to share my few thoughts about some comments I have seen, concerning this new flanker. People are claiming it's quite redundant, and I think I have a different opinion. I've seen some few reviews here on YouTube. I've also read comments from various other platforms, and the general consensus is sort of like it is quite redundant considering the fact that it's quite close to the OG Khamrah. But I sort of disagree, although I agree totally, every single review that I have watched so far, everybody has been spot on, and it's generally people's opinion that we are sharing. There's nothing like cast in stone. Whatever I say or the next person says is the Bible. You have to just take it as it comes, And I get so excited when I see a lot of comments from, people who are not even here on YouTube or who do not have channels contributing, sharing their thoughts, their experiences with this new flanker. I really appreciate every single one of them. However, I am of a different opinion. I do not think Qahwa is redundant, and hear me out. So I will just agree. I will totally 100% agree that this one and the OG Khamrah share like 85-90% similarity, with the difference being the ginger, the cardamom, and then the dried fruit or candied fruit, instead of the dates, but they share very similar DNA, and of course it's a flanker. From my little knowledge in fragrances, what I know is that a flanker is just supposed to be a little deviation from the OG. It is supposed to be something that, probably the perfumer wants to correct, or people have said something about the OG that doesn't sit well with them. And then the perfumer or the house sort of corrects them, in a way, or adds something that has been requested. I think there are so many things that goes into flankers, but in general, flankers, usually toes the line of the OG fragrances, so you find nuances of the OG in them. I see this in a lot of fragrances like the YSL lip line, for example, the EDP, the EDT, the Intense, the Lattafa. They all smell very much alike, with differences, very little differences here and there. Maybe a little more vanilla, maybe a little more florals, just a twist here and there. And people, of course, have like all of them, without any question, because they love the lip line. And also something like L'Entradi, for me, they smell so much alike. The EDP, the EDT, the one with the sesame seed, the one with the red bottle, they smell so much alike, but they are, they are flankers, and people actually enjoy the different variations that they have in them. And that is what I find between this one and the OG Khamrah. First of all, I'm of the opinion that the OG Khamrah was perfect. It didn't need any correction. It was perfected, before it was released, and it didn't really need any correction at all. So if anything at all, the house was just giving us a treat, by bringing this one up. And I think coffee is one of the hottest notes in fragrances right now. So of course they will sort of, play along what the audience or the market is looking for. And that is why I think they added coffee, and coffee to me is a very universally appealing scent, at least in most instances, from what I understand or from my little experience. I know a lot of people love gourmand scent, and that is why a fragrance like French coffee, for example, has been so successful, among a lot of us here on Fragcom. So they are just playing along those lines. So this is supposed to be a flanker, and in that sense, I don't see anything redundant about Qahwa. The addition is quite, subtle. It's quite subtle. It's not so different, but it is a flanker, So you're supposed to get the original, scent from it. Probably if you're expecting something totally different, then I don't know. But I guess if you're expecting something totally different, then you don't have to go for flankers. Flankers are supposed to remind you sort of, the original version. So that is what I get from Qahwa. There are differences here and there with the OG Khamrah being much more resonant, much more sweeter, much more intense. You know, this one is a little less intense as compared to the OG, but I think once we let it sit and macerate, it also pick up in its intensity. To me, one of the differences I find between this and the OG is that this one leans a little bit masculine. You know, they are both very unisex leaning to me, but in a scheme of assigning genders, I think the OG Khamrah is much more, or I would consider it much more feminine leaning, whilst this one is a little to the masculine side, considering the fact that it is less sweeter than the OG Khamrah, you know. And I also get something, you know, the florals in this one are quite pronounced as compared to the OG. The OG is predominantly that sort of apple pie, Christmassy, festive sort of, you know, vibes. But I don't get a lot of that festive vibes in this one, you know, although it carries the same DNA. I don't get a lot of that festive vibes because of the addition of the coffee and the cardamom and the ginger, which makes it a little spicier than the OG version. They are both beautiful fragrances. Personally, I wouldn't say take one and forgo the other. Just like Alien, you know, Alien has like dozens, hundreds of, you know, of flankers, and people still enjoy them. They even have the EDP, the EDT, a whole lot of them, and they share very similar DNA. Once you smell one, it will, you know, remind you of the other, unless the, you know, the latter ones that they are doing, that is not like that is not so reminiscent of the OG Alien, but at least you still get, you know, glimpses of Alien here and there, you know. And for me, all I can say is it's a flanker, so yeah, it's supposed to remind you. And it's quite a shame that people are sort of talking a little, I don't know if I should say talking down or making this one seem like it is not worth it. You know, I don't think it is not worth it. I think it is worth it. If you love the OG Khamrah, you can absolutely, you know, definitely pick this one up. I wouldn't say go pick it up, you know. I don't know about your packet, whatever you feel about it. It's quite new, so the prices are quite high. You might want to wait on it for a little while for the prices to drop before you pick it. But I wouldn't say do not pick Khamrah Qahwa. You know, it's a very beautiful addition. You know, coffee is a very delectable scent. Everybody loves, at least most people love coffee. You know, people who don't even drink coffee claim they love the smell of coffee, you know. So, and I'm also glad that this one was not overdone. The coffee in this one is not overwhelming. It is not a one note sort of, you know, a straight linear coffee scent like French coffee, Eternal coffee. Those are like linear, straight, you know, coffee scents, but not everybody appreciates that. And even for those fragrances, they are quite hard to wear by themselves, you know, because I don't think a lot of people would want to smell like straight up coffee, you know. You usually box them with something. So in that sense, I feel this one was, you know, or I know this one was really well thought about before it was done. And I think they've done a phenomenal job bringing Khamrah Qahwa, you know, out. If you have the OG Khamrah and you're thinking about picking up a backup bottle, I would just say, why don't you try this one out, you know, because it shares similar DNA with several twists here and there. So if you enjoy that, you would as much, you know, enjoy this one too. If you do not have any Khamrah, you don't have Khamrah at all, and you still, you know, maybe you are enthused about the whole, you know, the whole hype about Khamrah and you want to try one, I would say go for this one, you know. Not because this one is new on the market, but because this one has a twist, you know, which still maintains the Khamrah DNA. So you're getting like 2 in 1. You're getting the Khamrah DNA with something in addition, you know. So I would highly recommend this. I say if you have the OG Khamrah and you still want to go ahead and pick this one, pick it up. It will give you a similar experience, but it definitely have, you know, it definitely has some differences. It's not like 100% same. And of course, I would always say this, it's a flanker, so it will remind you of the OG version, like Alien, like even Poison, you know, Dior's Poison, for example. When it comes to the OG Poison and you compare it to, let's say, Hypnotic Poison, Poison Girl, no, Pure Poison, those are quite different, you know. Although they are flankers, they are quite different from each other. But in most instances, flankers are sort of, you know, towards the same line. And that is what I find in between this one and the OG. I would highly recommend that you check this one out. For the past, you know, 3-4 days, that has been my scent of the day. I just wanted to thoroughly learn about this one, get myself so acquainted with this one. So I've been wearing this one, you know, for the past 3-4 days, you know, just to have just to be able to acquaint myself so much with this fragrance, to be able to speak about it better. And I think, you know, I get a subtle differences. This one is much more floral, you know, the apple pie nuance is less. In this one, it's like amped up in the OG, whilst in this one, it's a little toned down. I get something, you know, the white florals that it claims it has, I get it. I'm not too sure what it feels like. Gardenia, I might be wrong, but you know, it feels like gardenia to me. And I also get that, you know, very delectable coffee, which is not creamy, you know, it's like creamy whipped cream, that kind of, you know, vibes. It doesn't give me that at all, you know. And in those instances when they are creamy, they make it much more feminine. But this one is like straight up coffee without any cream, you know. So it's very, very unisex, but a little masculine leaning to me. So in the last few days, I have wore this one by itself, and I've also layered it with other fragrances, you know, and two of them really stood up to me that I want to share today. The very first layering combination that I did that absolutely was amazing to me was this one, and then Swiss Arabian's Casablanca. These two, you know, shared the apple, you know, apple and fruity nuance in this one. This one doesn't necessarily state apple, but I still get that apple, you know, pie vibes in this one. And this one has a note of apple and some grapes and, you know, a whole lot. And these two pair beautifully together. They sort of play on each other, and when I used these two together, it sort of made this one last much more longer. It doesn't have, you know, it doesn't lack in the potency department. It gives you at least 8 hours, you know, on clothes. But when I added Casablanca to it, it gave me like 12, 13, 14 hours plus, like the whole day, you know, and then some. So this, you know, the apple play on each other. They make, they work perfectly, you know, they work perfectly, like both gourmand, a little vanilla, gourmand scent, and I absolutely, you know, love these two together. The next pair that makes this one even extra more sexier, you know, because I consider this one the sexier version of the OG Khamrah, and the pair that I'm talking about is Mesa Majale's Jazz Club. This has rum. This one is like quite reminiscent of that cognac, you know, and I just wanted to sort of bring the notes in this one up, or amp it up, you know, and this one did it for me. That iconic cigar bar sort of, you know, vibes, these two is going to give you that, you know. So that coffee plays off with the rum booziness of this one. These two by themselves are beauties, but when you layer these two together, they play off each other with the booziness, the cinnamon, you know, rum praline or rum vanilla. This one also has vanilla, some praline chocolatey nuances. The coffee is such a delightful blend, very sexy. It makes it much more of an evening scent, you know. When you combine these two, it makes it much of an evening scent, and I really appreciate these two together. So those are two fragrances, or two combos that I tried and I loved. I just felt like they were going to play off each other so well, and they absolutely play off each other so well. So these are two layering combinations that I would highly recommend. If you are planning on getting Qahwa, I would highly recommend that you go ahead. You know, don't just experience it for yourself. If you are somewhere that you can get a decant, why not, you know? But if you can wait it out too for the prices to drop and pick up a full bottle, I'm sure you're absolutely going to find it very delightful. That is all I have for you today, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate that. Thank you, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.